morning, everyone. And we are happy to be here. And I'm Devin Itach. They have already introduced me. I don't think I have any other much to say. And before us, we have a guest today, like they've introduced him, Mr. Daniel, founder and CEO of AFRICUS. And today he's going to take us through mostly real estate. And most of us, I think, it's a sector where we think it needs a bit of muscle. Muscle, I mean more of a lot of financials to enter. So he's going to take us through to see what can we do as young people. So first of all, I want you to enlighten us about the ecosystem players in the real estate industry. We want to know what are those stakeholders, people involved, and all that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Devin, and everyone that is with us here. Daniel Arinda, that's my full name. Currently, I'm a real estate developer, a broker. Briefly, that's the introduction I can give myself. The rest, they have already told you. Computer engineer, that's my background. And I see how to apply technology into real estate. Real estate is a wide and diverse industry which is supplemented by so many other industries. Like I've had tourism people, that's like real estate is 90% tourism. Because when we talk about tourism, we are talking about hotels, we are talking about transport. Transport is a little bit different, but when you talk about hotels, I mean, you can't move people somewhere and you can't accommodate them. That's for sure. So with real estate, tourism is like key. If you are a developer and you're developing for tourism, it's a real big deal. Now, so we have tourism, those are stakeholders, that's number one. Then we have IT, technology. We have architects. We have people who do just brokerage. We have investors. We have people with money who say, we have seen space somewhere, let's buy it and develop it. We have engineers, civil engineers, and any other engineer in that line. That's water engineers, architectural engineers. So all those are stakeholders, I can say. So we have banks, money, we have the bank side, but then we have just investors. Like I'm an investor, you have your money, you want to bring change in Imbara. You look for a firm that does development, maybe you look for a civil engineering company, then you tell them, I want to build a hotel there. So you become a stakeholders just because of your money. But they are banks. Banks are stakeholders in a way, they give loans to people who have ideas to develop them. And also banks like, we've heard of the Uganda Development Bank, we've heard of, I'm not okay with names, but there is a bank specifically, National Housing. You have an idea and you want to give it life, you can go to National Housing, you show them your proposal, and they'll help you acquire the money you want to build that, whatever you want to build. That's the fun bit of it. But to start everything, if the first thing you're going to worry about is money, you will never start anything. Yet, when it started, they couldn't afford even half of this office. Now see where they are. They are renting a whole floor. You just have to start. That is the whole point, man. Look for partners. Now, for example, a tourist guy has met an IT guy. An IT guy doesn't know what happens in tourism, but all he knows is developing software. You understand? Strike a partnership. It starts with talking. Say, develop a system. Me, I know how to get to these people. If we get something, you get this, you get this. The challenge we get is you want to be everything in life. You can never be. You can't. That's why even when you can afford a border, you don't buy a bike so that you ride yourself. Every day you wake up, pay someone 1,000 so that you sit and they transport you somewhere. That's the whole point.
Even if you can't become everything, but when you're starting, the fact that you can't afford to pay employees and all that, sometimes we find ourselves having to be everything, the manager, the what, because you don't have money to pay.
And which is okay.
Yeah.
The first thing, life is in stages. You first survive, you live, then you actualize. Like Okay? So if you're starting, capital, like I'm saying, is not your worry. You're worrying on how you're going to survive you as a person. You want money for rent, you want to eat, you want to move places, right? So all that requires money. But then why are you worrying about employing someone when you also are jobless? First, create your job. That is the whole point. Create your job. And by creating your job is looking at what is lacking. How do I start on this? I'm a tourist guy. I want a website. How do I have it? There are social media platforms that are free. You can start with that if you can't afford a website. Create your Facebook account, and every time you go to your Facebook, don't go there to chat with so and so that you're with, that you can actually give a call. Read at profiles of people that may need services that you're going to offer. Those are the people you add as friends. Friends and family. Look, in your family, you may be having someone who drives a global bus. That person is not really a big resource to you because he's just a driver. But just know that person meets like 1,000 people every day that do things you may not even imagine. Engage him. Engage friends and family first. Tell them what you do. Try to convince them. It's hard. They always want to first see you somewhere, meanwhile, but let them know it's important. Then see how best they can help you. Try to seek help from friends and family. It may be easy for Ronald to give you like 100K for data for a month. Maybe once. If there is that opportunity, take it up. The whole point is, what I'm saying is, capital. When we talk of capital, everyone is thinking about money. But the capital we have is already a lot. The money they paid for you at the university is already enough capital for you to have capital. So use that resource as school fees to get the capital that you want. And that is through your networks, and see and accept to start small. To me, that is how best I can say the challenge of capital. Then the bigger monies will come later, because now you, who already is struggling just to live, how much capital do you even need? You have no idea. And if you get it now, you will crash because you don't know how to move with it. Maybe the excitement will give you to buy a new car. You think about owning a home, because as a young man, you feel like being in your home is. But at a later stage, you realize being in a home, it's a liability. A car is a liability unless it is unless it is earning and unless it is moving what you're doing. But if you're starting, all you need is, you have the resources you need are people.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And what are those now direct opportunities that we feel we can tap into in the real estate industry? Probably there are those open ones up to today.
There are so many. Everything is open. If it is Uganda, when you move out of Uganda, you realize like Uganda is like a crawling child. A crawling child knows nothing and has done nothing. In every sector. In Uganda, we have done nothing. So every opportunity is available. It's how much you can widen your head, how much you can widen your hunger for searching and getting to know what you can put out here that will give you what you can do. Starting from as small as, like I said, if you don't have money, the first thing you can tap in is accessibility. Make information available. As a young person can say, okay, it's already happening. What do? Let's look for a co-working space. You innovate it that way. You're trying to solve the 2.5 million and split it into 30 people. Instead of one head to come and rent this, now you're going to bring 30 people here, and everyone is going to pay 50,000, which in mind is affordable. But again, you have to go beyond and see these other social amenities. How are they going to cooperate? Because you know some of us are big-headed. Once I've paid my 50K and I've seated there, when I go to the tap, I open, water is going to be wasted. So that now calls for discipline, which is also one of the biggest things challenge that we have in Uganda, discipline. You are in your house, landlord's house, for example, you don't need light, but all your lights are on. Even when you're catching a movie and the screen that you're having can provide you with an app, that's discipline. So we need to think about how do we help the generation to have the discipline of not wasting. if I just need 1 cup of water, let me tap 1 cup of water. I don't open the tap and all water is going, just because my landlord is paying. So discipline, because at the end of the day, our discipline makes the people that give us services want to punish us, because at the end of the day, they are the bosses. He's going to wake up the foreign and say, even to be recari, so you may find it's coming because they gave him a bill of 100k where he's supposed to pay 50k. So your indiscipline as an individual is costing everyone else around. But one thing young people can think about, let's work on discipline. It starts with us, of course. If I'm in a small room or if I'm co-working with someone and they say a bill of water is 10k, let me be willing to pay the 1000k. So if that can happen, then that means ideally we have innovated. We have solved a problem whereby people who are struggling to have working space in town, because they can't afford 1 million, now 5 people can actually pay 200,000 and they're going to work together harmoniously. That is the way. Because you're not going to help the government reduce the tax, like I've said, no. It's going to increase instead. Because if someone an NGO or any company that was giving support withdraws, for them again they multiply on the tax they are going to charge. But as people, then we need to learn how to work, how to live socially, and how we can utilize the few resources we have together minimally. Get to understand this thing I'm going to come up with, where will I set it? So as an innovator, as a young person, that also has to be part of you. So if you're starting something, don't be grounded in Mbarara. We have so many other places you can go to. Go to Ishaka, get to understand how does it work here. Go there and buy a shirt, see the hassles you go through. Go to Kanungu and buy a shirt. You will say, where will I get the transport? Just know it is a process. I'm not saying do that in 1 month. If you give yourself a target, you can say, okay, I'm saving to get some transport, take me to Kanungu. If you save that for 3 months, it is up to you. If you save that for 5 months, it's up to you. It's how hungry you are for the innovation you're creating that you're going to also to invest in the small nitty-gritties.
So what are the dynamics of the bank financing, the one you talked about? If a young person, probably you discouraged us a little bit.
Definitely,
it's not a good idea.
Yeah, not a good idea.
Why is it not a good idea?
It's not a good idea because banks are business. Banks are a business. They are here to make money. And the bitter truth or the bitter honesty in Uganda, the percentages bank charge here don't favor our environment. They don't favor the kind of people, the discipline of people, and the work environment we are in. Let me give you an example. I want really to relate. We are in a society whereby I would say, David, borrow me 50k today. Tomorrow in the morning, I will be here. You give me 50k, and that is discipline. That's people, that's society, that's our society, that's our culture here. Tomorrow in the morning, I call you in the morning. You first ignore the calls, okay? In the first case, you borrow the money when you're not sure whether tomorrow you'll be having it. You're not sure. But because you want it, you say, Daniel, give me 50k, tomorrow I'll give it to you. So you pick the 50k, you go. Tomorrow, I say, maybe I can ask you, what time? I'll call me before 10, it will be fine. 10, I call you, you're not picking the calls. 11, 12, 1. Then, like at around 2, someone else is going to pick her. Man, you're looking for David. Man, he had a very strong meeting. Up to now, he has not yet stepped out. In fact, if you don't mind, call him at around 5. Now, in that kind of culture, in that kind of environment, a loan can be troublesome. The 50k, if the 50k I've given you, it was a business, you came and took something on a loan so that you pay tomorrow, another person is going to do the same, or someone has paid 50%. When the bank time to take our installment comes, you won't be having the money to give to the bank. So what happens? If you default 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, they are going to start putting surcharges. Before you know it, even the little business you had is gone.
Young people in Uganda promote sustainable practices and environmental cautiousness in the real estate industry. Because most of these building materials, I think some of them may not be eco-friendly. But the moment we say eco-friendly, it brings in the aspect of affordability, because I know every building material that is environmental friendly is very expensive to deploy. So if you're using a lot of money in buying these materials, that means, like you said, it goes back to now the end user is going to get that house very expensively, and goes back to you as an investor, the return of investment that you're going to get. How do we deal with those challenges?
Discipline. Of course, anyway, young people, their part. Of course, investors are supposed, like I've said, investors also need to be educated. They need to know. For example, my company, and what we do, for example, because we are small-scale investors, like we do projects that are just minimum budgets, okay? But the basic things we can give to our customers, for example, planting trees. Planting trees is priceless, and yet it is one thing that we never give attention to. Let me give you an example. I could buy land of, let's say, 100 million. That is basic. Just an example, okay? To plant trees on the same land, when I've created the roads, done the planning and everything, it could cost me just maybe 5 million just to put trees. But the trees I have put, if I explain like a young man like you and say, you see, I'll put for you trees around your plot, maybe for the 5 million, you will add me 200K. It will be so much easier for you to pay it. I have seen it. So awareness, I think, is one of the biggest challenges. It's awareness more than the affordability bit of it. So, excuse me. So, in Uganda, the eco-friendliness, building things that are friendly, people do not because they are trying to save money. No. They do because they are not aware of how best they can.
But doesn't it affect you?
It affects us, definitely. Information. That's why I can give a basic example. But it's the information anyway. And the failed system. This building here is in the road. That corner there, like part of it is in the road. And the unfortunate bit of it, it belongs to the mayor of the city. So failed systems and lack of information are partly of the challenge that we are getting. So if you want to become an informer and you can afford that as a young person, you can run a campaign. Yeah, sure. You can run a campaign. You say, me, I'm against, let's say, littering the town. You create your platform. It can be a website. It will be a charitable organization. And also, by the way, charity, you can earn through charity. So as a young person, don't only focus on taking from people. See how also you can give back. Because charity is giving back. We move to hard to reach areas. I can give you an example. There is when you reach a place that was having a very big pothole. And then these kids, when they are in holidays, young people, they come and carry soil and cover up the potholes. So whenever I come with my car and I find them there, for them they make sure when they fill the pothole, they sit there. You pull out 5K, you give them. Whoever comes, pulls out and gives them. Whoever comes, pulls them. Before they leave from morning to evening, they can collect like a 50K. That's not money even they can work for in a week because they are young people. So charity, do first, then people reward you. So you can run a campaign of say, we are against littering in this town because that is part of the ecosystem, right? Like Kavera, bottles and stuff like that. So you can run a charity organization when you say, I'll be looking for 5 to 10 people and we go to street one. We shall either do the sweeping charity or we shall do the collecting of garbage. So as a young person, if you're the person who has that kind of heart, you can go that line. And every time you do, you can do it on a live Facebook or a live TikTok. These days TikTok is a big deal. Or a live something. So people will be following. You can say, you can support our move. We are trying to make Mbara City a friendly city and blah, 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 blah. So if you want to support us, send something on this line. Send something on this number. Or come find us here. It can grow. surprisingly, generous people are many, and they are there. But what are you giving to them? Now, if you're already here, then practice the eco-friendliness of that lies within your means. For example, we would be having a flower here, Mr. Ronald, another one there, and another one there. It will do something. And also maybe 2 outside here. If everyone can do that, the environment will be funny, but you've done some part of. Maybe tomorrow you'll influence the landlord if they are going to do renovation and say, get us a spot here, we can put a tree or 2. So it goes back to, you first be informed, you, and then you can help. So many people do mistakes of, okay, most of the challenge we are facing here in Uganda specifically is information, lack of information. I do something wrong because I don't know the right thing. Now, if you're a young person and can be able to see that and don't have money to solve that, then be the informant of those people who can afford to do that.
Okay, but still, there is this change in construction, in real estate, when it comes to construction, and most of these government agencies, when they want to actually get suppliers and all that, we normally go for bidding, and
sure.
I assume the lowest bidder takes the bid.
True. No, you are assuming. Okay. Yes, you are assuming.
I assume the lowest bidder takes the bid.
Yes.
However, this is me, a young person who has probably innovated, for example, maybe interlocking blocks or maybe roof tiles that are made out of plastic. I'm trying to save the environment and all that, and it's an innovation. My material is very expensive. I'm very sure about that. So if the lowest bidder takes the bid, and I'm competing with people who are using the standard base, because for them they're using the other normal building materials which I bid cheap, how am I going now to compete with that person to take such a bid at such a time?
No. Now the business aspect of that, I can say, you know, in business there is luck and more trying, and then maybe people later will recognize you. I'm saying maybe the first time they are going to take business on you, the second time they're going to do the same, but by the time you've come up with that innovation, you should be having a strategy. It's encouraging. It's just an encouragement. You should be having a strategy and ways of how you think you can get up there. Like I've said, they are going to take the lowest bidder because they are not informed. They don't know your product, they don't understand it. They are going to take the lowest bidder because they are greedy. They want, if it is, yours is going to cost them, let's say, $1 billion, and this one is giving them at 600,000. They say, you understand? Yeah, so every time you're going to face a platform, go with this sense of, I'm going to meet idiot. But I'm going to meet people who have no idea about what I am, and your work is to teach them what you're doing. Now the choice is theirs, to understand it or not. If they understand it, thank God. If they don't, move on to another platform.
Okay, that's good. So what policy changes or reforms that would support maybe or encourage young people in Uganda to actively participate in the real estate industry?
Policies of reforms. Isn't the English too much for me?
Like you had told us earlier that government mostly. You gave us an example of when you're importing. Now that means you're going to import substitution and all that. So there are those maybe stringent policies from the government that it subjects on the real estate industry. So what are those reforms?
Government, please reduce taxes. In fact, if it is, to me, they would even put that if they are young people, of course, if you say young people, the old people are going to use young people to start. But the government should put a policy that, let's say companies, if a company is formed by 5 young men below 30, and they are trying to do something, they should have tax holidays. What's wrong with a young man who is Ugandan trying to create jobs for people and earn a living for himself to have a tax holiday for 10 years if a Chinese man who comes here with even less money can have 15 years of tax-free? So the government needs to focus on its own other than foreigners. We are happy foreigners bring us foreign money, but also they need to know that something cannot grow from the outside, it has to grow from the inside. It's us who can change our country. It's us who can bring change to our country. And we can't do that if we are not being respected. We can't do that if we are not being supported. We can't do that if we are not being empowered. So the only way a government can empower us, we are not asking it to bring the new government 2 million, 1 million to give it to us, no. Simply remove tax on things I want to bring to this country, me, that I use for the innovations I do, and let me grow on my own.
Yet
To
they
me-
have started to avoid they have started to tax companies that are making losses.
I've not heard about that. I need to know.
Loss-making companies.
How do you tax a company that has no money?
It was in the news actually.
But
Yeah.
Uganda, Uganda, that is possible. In Uganda, that is possible, but that's what we are discouraging. We are saying, if it is 5 young men with 5 young ladies in Uganda, they've started a farm, for example, that builds affordable houses. They have their small capital, whichever way they pulled it. If they are bringing something to Uganda, if they are doing something in Uganda, give them 10 years of not paying tax. Because the service they are giving is to the Ugandans. The jobs they are creating are for the Ugandans and stuff like that. Or if you're to do that, if you're to tax, go ahead and tax them. Let their tax be most minimal. If you're charging, let's say, Sudiru Pereira 10% on the real estate they are doing, you can say the young men can first have like the first 5 years of nothing, and then later they can go maybe to 2 years. You help them to grow. Once they reach up there, subject the same system to them. Someone will say that is double standards, but yes, it is what it is. If a Chinese can come here and they are going to have a factory and they are going to have 10 years of not paying tax, why should young men in Ibarra who are producing juice be paying tax? The double standards are already there, so maintain them. But now let it be the reverse. The foreigners, we thank them, we want them to be here. We are happy because we see what they have done for us. But if we also have the ability to do something for ourselves, let the government support us in that manner. Remove taxes from us.
Okay.
Provide infrastructure for us. What's wrong with the government providing, let's say in Barra, it is very evident and obvious. We have more than 3 universities. I think we have like 5. You have 5 universities. Why can't you have like a center for innovation, a big center for innovation? You find if they are going to support a youth, they will say, come for the challenge. After that, they give you 10 million. What is 10 million? That's not even rent for 5 months.
Okay, so when we come to networks, it's becoming a big deal, networks and partnerships and all that. And most of the ecosystem players in real estate sometimes, it's very hard to approach you people. And as young people, we do need you to support us and also maybe share your experience like today. But probably we're getting this chance only today, but we may need it continuously. How do we get in touch with you and still to some of those that are unapproachable? How can we deal with that?
One thing is, I can say everyone is approachable, that's for sure. But the value, people wants to see value for the meeting. They want to see value, like what can you put on table? It's how funny, that's how the world is. It's very funny. People want to know that their time is being exchanged for something. And it's not money, the unfortunate bit of it. Or the fortunate bit of it. It's not money. Like if I'm going to meet you, I don't want you to pay me to meet you. No. But I want to be sure that if I'm going to postpone my customer to meet you, there should be something in the return I'm going to get, for example. Why are you meeting me? We don't know how to sell ourselves to the world. The networks are open, and then the other thing, if it is hard to meet someone in person, come to events like this. There are many that be happening around. If you can't go to the events that are technical like this, then go to where people go to relax. Afford a soda there. Then you can see him there and be like, do you mind if I can say something to you? This and this, I've been running this this is my Facebook page, I have 1,000 followers, how can we work together? or I have 500 followers, how can we work together? They will definitely be like, okay, there is no problem. I can give you my material, push it for me. Every other time you get a customer, I'll pay you this. And feel free to come and I show you what we do. So you're getting free classes, because if I'm going to the field, I have 2 people. There is 1 slot for you. So I put you in the car, we go, you see how, if the surveyor has come to the land to survey, you see how the surveyor is working. You have an idea. Oh, you mean the surveyor is involved here. When the surveyor is done, now I can call you, now we are going to do the roads. Okay. Now you see the graders, then you can ask questions about the road sizes. Why are you making them small? Why are you making them big? So if it is interest in the line of what you want to do, you have to give it time. But you have to be having something on it. Like, give yourself to research. Information is available. The information of the learning is available. Yes. At least to give you the basic. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And questions from me are really done. I don't know if we have any question from the audience. If any of you has any question, now is the time. You can ask.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Dan. It's like it was insightful. It has even gone beyond real estate, the whole concept of business management, development, and everything. And of course, yeah, that's what we need, because we need to put it to benefit a lot. So you have already said a lot, and I think what I'm going to ask probably has already been answered. I just wanted to be a little bit specific. So, first I really want to understand this whole concept of real estate. What is it and what is involved? And then we look at the specific challenges, very specific challenges that are actually, that you guys who are in the business or in the industry are facing, and how we can improve them. Very specific. What are some of the innovative areas we can touch to improve them? And as you finish, probably a minute tell us more about AFRICUS and the innovations you are applying in the company. Specifically, the innovations you are applying in AFRICUS that is actually setting it apart, because once I've been following up, I think this is the age now. I'm really doing some bit of research with the different real estate companies in Barara. But at some point, I find AFRICUS is a different approach. So we really want to understand how innovative it is, but as young people can follow it. So those are really my few questions. I can answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Real estate, property, there are so many ones that really come with it. And the unfortunate bit of it is, whenever someone talks of real estate, the first thing someone thinks about is big buildings. No, it's way much beyond that. And as young people, if you want to enter the industry, don't even look at buildings. So real estate goes from empty land, okay, definitely, to buildings, definitely, and other services that come in those two. Now, in the industry, I'm going to show you the line of people that we have. We start with if it's land, which is the basic, I think the primary thing that we start from. Land has an owner. That's number one. Okay? Now, if I'm going to do what they say, if different people or different real estate players can come to land to do different things. Me, I may come to buy the land and keep it and then sell it. When you come to me, I'll say I'm a real estate developer, right? But now before I buy it, there are procedures and there are processes and there are people who are involved. The local council. Local council, that is Chairman LC1 and the team. Because land specifically, we are going to ground Y, which has a chairman. Number two, I'm looking at a lawyer. Number three, I'm looking at a valuer. Okay? Number 4, I'm looking at a surveyor. That's the industry we're playing. After that, I'm looking at now definitely a financier. If I want finances, or I'm looking at finances, then after that, I'm going to look at a buyer. Okay? But now, when I think about now, at first I was thinking about the landowner and how I can acquire it. I have all those players. The lawyer is to help me maybe draft the agreement for purchase. The local council is for due diligence. Due diligence is to know if this land heir or not heir. Does it belong to this family or it doesn't? The surveyor is to quantify how much land am I buying? Has it been surveyed before? Has someone quantified it before? Okay? If yes, the ownership or land tenure, what the type of ownership is on this land? The people that is owning it, is he a tenant? Is he a landlord? As a tenant, what kind of tenancy does he have? Oh my God, I think the terminology is becoming many, but it is what it is. Get to hear it, maybe when you hear it again you will. The tenancy, it could mean that, let's say, is leasing. For how many years? Am I okay to buy the lease or I want full ownership? But brokers go beyond that. And we categorize them like, I'm a broker, but at the same time I'm a developer. A small scale developer.
So what do evaluators base on the evaluator?
They experience. They study, definitely, and then they have graded towns, cities, villages, and stuff like that. So they know. In this area, they say, for example, Makansing area, and the information that I've told you is correct, they know if rent of this size, square meters, 5 square meters is 5 million, a building sitting on this area should not cost more than this. This piece of land should not cost more than this because of the return on investment. Because the return on investment is, if I bought a building on Makansing Street, or this is Bananuka Drive, if I bought a building here and it is 5 stories with 50 rooms, it's collecting 200 million. I should not buy it more than 2 billion. I should not buy it more than 20 billion. Because the return on investment should be at least 0.01, which means I should be able to collect my return on investment in 10 years maximum. If it is going beyond 10 years, that is not business for me. Now, if you're going to advise someone as a young man, you should be knowing that simple basic knowledge. That no, don't buy that building, 20 billion or 200 billion. Why? Is he going to say, why? Because if you buy it, it will take you 20 years to collect the money, and in 20 years you'll be a dead man. How about we consider the other one? You're a broker, you're an advisor, you're everything to that person. Now, if people get to know that Office Y of these young men, they are IT people, but they have knowledge on real estate, they can advise you, people will come for the same services and they will pay you. So, now, I've showed you the side of the seller, the chain of people. I'll show you the side of the buyer, the chain of people. The buyer also has the same chain. But now the difference of the buyer is, who doesn't he have? I think also he has everyone. Because also he has a lawyer to help with paperwork. He has a broker to help in the negotiations. He has a valuer to tell them the real figure. He has, he also needs the local counsel, because the local counsel advises the two. In fact, he needs more the local counsel than the other person, but also the other one needs it. So those are the key players in all the areas now. Opportunities in the real estate industry, I will summarize them. You can be a broker. The broker you can choose, because the world is open, you can choose where you want to be. You can choose to be the person who shows Ronald a house and he pays you 50K. You can choose to be a broker who shows and maybe the company that did the cleaning spent around 200 or 300,000. There are so many services you can offer, but me, I don't sit there. I want my office clean. If you promise me to clean it, I hire you. Because at a later stage, once you're growing, you get to learn that it's not the money. Like, the excitement is not money. Money is just what moves things. You understand? Everything you need it. What it costs is no big deal. And that's why you also, when you see in your life now, when you were in primary and secondary, it was okay, you would go and buy a shoe of 10K and put it on hand. Now you move to the shop, they tell you 100,000, you tell them you have 80,000. But maybe if then the shoe was costing 30, if you accepted to go downtown somewhere. But for you, when you want something and the money is in the pocket, and that's how the world is. If you get that concept, then you get to know that there is nothing like expensive. There is good service and poor service. Okay? Thank you so much. Basically, that is it.
Once again, I'm Sheila Chichire, and I'd like to thank our main speaker or our guest for sharing with us very important information. Personally, I can say I've learned a couple of things. And I have developed a couple of projects in my mind to work hand in hand with my environmental conservation and protection with real estate. So I'm really thankful, and we are really thankful